Effects of light pollution. Studying the effects of light pollution is essential to understand how this problem can affect humans. Many people have a wrong idea about what causes light pollution and what its consequences are for human health, wildlife, and ecosystems. This blog post will help you understand the basics of why it's a problem that needs to be solved. Effects of light pollution on human health. Light pollution is harmful to our bodies because it can suppress natural wake-up hormones like melatonin, which are responsible for regulating sleep cycles, making us more tired in daylight as opposed to nighttime hours when we should be able to function just fine without interference from artificial light sources. The world is becoming increasingly brighter as nighttime light pollution becomes more of a problem. Cities and towns are now illuminated by artificial lighting that can create health risks for the population. Whether it's due to people staying up too late, disrupting their circadian rhythms, or just too much exposure to blue lights at nighttime, which screw with your melatonin levels, there have been many studies suggesting negative consequences from living in areas with increased lit environments like urban centers. Some experts said these effects might be worse than smoking cigarettes. This includes disturbing sleep cycles, which has led some researchers to theorize how this could lead humans into insomnia epidemics if something isn't done soon about all the streetlights everywhere, causing further problems such as higher rates of depression and lower social engagement. Effects of light pollution on ecosystem. Light pollution is a phenomenon that has affected the natural ecosystem in many ways. One way it affects plants and animals, for example, is by interfering with their circadian rhythms. Half of all the world's population and 99% of Americans live under skies that are polluted by artificial light. This has a significant effect on ecosystems, especially nocturnal ones like fireflies, which need darkness to reproduce in order for their larvae to thrive. Lights from cars or homes can also prevent astronomers from studying distant galaxies because these lights pollute images collected with telescopes, even though they could use filters called light pollution masks. Instead, we have been reducing our energy usage through conservation practices such as using more efficient fixtures, installing motion sensor lighting at entrances into buildings during off-peak hours when people won't be exiting or entering anyway, replacing street lamps with long-lasting LED bulbs. Effects of light pollution on animals. The effect of light pollution on animals is a growing concern for environmentalists. The effects of light pollution on animals has been a topic of interest for the last decade. There is an increasing concern over how this affects their ability to live and thrive in natural habitats, especially when it comes to reproduction rates that are based on daylight hours. There's never one answer or conclusion about any given animal population, but there have been many studies looking at whether artificial lights affect wildlife populations such as bats, birds, frogs, and sea turtle hatchlings, among others, with mixed results so far. Some species seem less able than those who do not depend on daylight cycles for breeding times, like cicadas. Light pollution can disrupt the natural cycles and habitats that many nocturnal species rely upon to survive, causing them stress or even death in extreme cases. While not every animal's behavior will be affected by artificial lighting, there are still plenty who have their lives changed at night, from bats being displaced by moving into new roosts closer to bright areas like cities where they may become victims of predators. Turtles laying eggs near lights only, then discovering an increase in predation due to this change, as well as decreased nesting success rate due to increased temperatures caused by these activities. The road ahead seems unclear, but one thing remains certain: we need more research before it becomes too late. Effects of light pollution on plants. The effects of light pollution on plants is an exciting topic for a research paper. This phenomenon can have significant consequences in the natural world, and it will be essential to study more about its impact. There are many other factors that may need to be investigated as well, such as how we use artificial lights at nighttime or what kind of spectrum they emit, ultraviolet radiation. These studies could help create better lighting systems, so our environment doesn't suffer any more than it already does from excess amounts of artificial light. Turning off unnecessary lights at night has been scientifically proven to be beneficial for plants, which need a dark environment in order to maintain their natural circadian rhythms. Have you ever wondered why your houseplants don't grow as quickly under artificial light? It all boils down to the fact that there are fewer photons of the visible and ultraviolet spectrum to encourage photosynthesis, when compared with sunlight, meaning less complete absorption by plant cells. Therefore, it is best not only for humans but also for our greenery too. Effects of light pollution. Effects of light pollution on aquatic life. The effects of light pollution on aquatic life are not fully understood. In recent years, there has been an increase in the number of publications and research on how light pollution affects aquatic life. It was once believed that a planet's atmosphere would block all artificial lights from reaching its water sources. However, this is not true due to scattering effects. Increased levels of light can cause increased rates for the metabolism, which speeds up growth but also causes decreased feeding time, resulting in negative impacts to marine ecosystems as food becomes scarce for animals living among them, such as diving beetles or jellyfish larvae. The most alarming effect, though, is when outputs are too bright. It triggers bioluminescence where algae organisms use their own energy reserves instead of sunlight, creating toxic byproducts like hydrogen peroxide that may kill other sea creatures nearby without any warning sign. Effects of light pollution on agriculture. Light pollution is a significant concern for farmers, as it affects the growth cycles of plants. For example, some species of corn show an accelerated rate in development when exposed to artificial light during their night cycle and are less able to maintain healthy leaves on shorter stalks. Light pollution has become one of the biggest threats to agriculture today because its effects can cause crops like tomatoes and peppers not only to grow more quickly but also show quality reductions due to exposure at odd hours or improper wavelengths that affect photosynthesis rates in ways that may be irreversible with currently available technologies. Effects of light pollution on climate change. Light pollution is a huge issue. In fact, the world has lost 20% of its night sky brightness due to light pollution since 1950. This can have devastating effects on climate change, one example being that plants need darkness in order to grow correctly, and photosynthesis slows down when there's too much artificial lighting around. It also takes away our opportunity as humans to view stars at night, which could be detrimental for people who are sensitive or not used to seeing them regularly because it impacts sleep patterns, mental health and even awareness about how vast space actually is. Luckily, new LED technologies mean we're able to reduce energy consumption by up to 80%. Light pollution is a significant contributor to the global climate change problem. This has been proven by scientists from around the world, and it's not just because of light bulbs in your home or on street lamps that can be seen outside at night. In fact, natural nighttime lighting like moonlight does wonders with its cooling effect due to reflecting heat back into space, but light bulb emissions are so bright they contribute even more warmth than all urban centers combined. Which means their effects negate any benefits we might get from them while simultaneously causing these dark spaces where no stars can shine, leading us down this path towards an uncertain future for our planet. Effects of light pollution on global warming. Light pollution is an issue that has been plaguing our society for decades. It's a byproduct of the modernization and technological advancements we have seen in recent years, but it comes with some severe consequences, including effects on global warming. Light pollution happens when light from artificial sources such as street lamps or even porch lights are emitted into space instead of being directed downwards where they belong. All this excess lighting can warm up Earth's surface because there is no atmosphere to filter out the heat, creating radiation coming off these artificial devices, like how nature would do so naturally through rain clouds over time, lightning. This causes more greenhouse gases to stay within our planet, which leads to higher temperatures globally, which not only affects animals and plants living but human life also. Effects of light pollution on the economy. The sky should be the limit for businesses in a city that has as much light pollution as New York. As people become more interested and concerned with how their environment affects them, several companies have started taking measures to decrease lighting costs and save energy by using less intrusive lights or installing motion sensors on outside fixtures. This is done because it can reduce operating expenses related to capital expenditures such as utilities use by up to 30%, Harvey. In addition, these new technologies are also proving themselves environmentally friendly through decreased emissions of carbon dioxide into our atmosphere, which leads not only local but global effects too, like climate change. Effects of light pollution on the ozone layer. A study conducted by the University of Exeter in England recently revealed that light pollution is one among many factors responsible for depleting the ozone layer. Ozone, a gas that slows down ultraviolet rays from reaching Earth's surface and thereby reduces skin cancer rates, as well as other environmental issues like global warming, has been decreasing steadily over time due to human activity. In addition to lowering levels of UVB radiation coming into contact with our planet without consideration of safety limits set forth by international treaties such as those established under the Montreal Protocols or Kyoto Protocols, these artificial lights diminish nighttime darkness, disrupt natural circadian rhythms, leading animals both on land and at sea astray, including migratory birds, making them vulnerable prey items for predators.